All right, we are live from our Hospital Hill studios in Babane. It is a Tuesday, and very good morning. Welcome to Kusile Breakfast Show. I am with my lovely co-host yet again, Lungelele Makakula. How are you, Lungelele?
I'm well. It's on January now. We're back
doing very well.
again.
Makhada nje kuphela futhi nje ngathi ngidawukhala ngawo wonke mala.
Utawajayela Sfisa. Good morning. Alright, good morning to our viewers at home. Just a reminder that you can also watch the show on YouTube. Sandvusela amplek senteme ukuthi nivuka kahle lo muhla namhlanje kungilesibili sidabe sikubuka dona tindzaba tetema business sidabe sihleli na marketing and products manager ka MTN business Lungile Mzizi. For the first time ever inkampani yaka MTN luhlangothi lwa business lutabele ndela bosoma business labancane lilanga labo lapho batawungetelwa lwati ngato tema business libida ngekuthi SME Day. The business sector is one of the 6 sectors of the post-COVID economic recovery plan. Nakala nje umnyaka wa 2020 hulumende wa Eswatini declared the year 2020 as the year of the micro, small and medium enterprises. SMEs are considered the backbone of many economies, and also they are crucial for growth and job creation as they account for nearly 86% of employment opportunities in developing countries. Bona bosomabhizinisi labancane abaqasha abantu labalinganiselwa ku-70%. Le-SME Day ke iyaqala lamuhla kanti ithatha emalanga lamabili. It will be hosted online by MTN Business. So sidabe sikhulumisana naye Lungile Mzizi kuvaka abantu njengalolu suku lwanamuhla at 6:30 today.
Kanzi-ke nga 7:30 sitawujoyinwa ngiyo indvuna yetekuvakasha netindzaba temvelo Moses Vilakati. He's joining us to kukhulumisa nje tindzaba te-climate action plan yelivela kangwane following the inaugural Eswatini Green Indaba, which was hosted by the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs ne-SNG Grant Thornton and its partners on the 22nd of May. Vilakati will tell us how they plan to continue raising awareness of green opportunities as well as mobilize a private sector ukuthi isekele iphinze ke ifinance yona climate action. Siyathi ukuthi ke impact of climate change is felt across different sectors. Minister Vilakati will tell us what was discussed on the Indaba Forum in terms of the impact of climate change on financing as well as the carbon credit framework. Kanti ke sitawukhumbula ukuthi uma kusukuma wona umnyaka lo setulu umnyaka wa 2023 ngenyanga ya March indvuna Moses Vilakati yanxusa abantu labasha ukuthi nabo badlala inzima lenkulu ekuthini kuhlangabezwe noma ke sibe resilient kuyo i-climate change response. Sidawiba ke ngibona ukuthi imisebenzi nje labasendile balitiko ihamba kanjani ukuthi babeke deep inhlelo labatawuthi iphakamisa masinyane. Sibonile ke ingona ihlanyela tona dihlahla nalamanye ematiko. I think the drive was 10 million trees. Am I correct, Lungelele? I think it's 10 million trees to lokufuna ukuthi bawuhlanyele lapha evenda kangwane njengalamanye emave like Ethiopia lehlanyele about 25 million trees. Naloke livela kangwane, small as it is, lilenda daba ekutheni libe resilient towards kuhlangabeza yona climate change.
Alright, it's 4 minutes after 6. Stay with us. Yeah, we're in a day for Eswatini.
Why should we pay our TV license?
The content on our local television is actually more up to date. The industry is enhanced.
It is a criminal offense not to pay your TV license and attracts a fine of 500 emalangeni or 6 months imprisonment.
And the industry is definitely blooming, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what we have for you. But we'll be right back just after the break and we'll give you more of Miss V.
Pay my TV license. That's why I can enjoy the benefits of an enhanced industry and keep track with recent transformation.
Mommy, who pays for a TV license and what are they paying for?
The owners of TV set and gadget with a tuner like DVD set have to pay.
Pay your TV license at NetBank with the details provided on screen. Or use your cell phone via the mobile money pay. You could also visit your nearest post office and pay there. Pay your TV license via Eswatini Mobile Imali. Any TV device retailer can purchase a license to trade. Pay your TV license and enhance the industry.
Phindze sikwamukele ehlelweni kwalelo muhle sisabuka tona tindzaba talapha ekhaya tindzaba. Ngunankulu Cleopas Dlamini uthi live leSwatini njengalamanye emave likhinyabeteke kakhulu ngesizatfu semithelela lemibi yekuguquguquka kwesimo selitulu etinhlangothini letifaka ekhatsi tekulima takhiwo kanye-ke nenhlalakahle yesive. Ngunankulu uthi kudzingeka ukuthi kube nekubambisana khulumende netinkampani i-private sector masinyane ekutheni kwentiwe imetamo yekulwana lesimo. Ngunankulu ufike kakhuluma emhlanganweni wekuphuma nemasu ekucokelela timali tekulwana lesimo etinkampanini letitimele i-Eswatini Inaugural Green Indaba 2023.
Ngenhloso yokubuka ukuthi uhulumende angasekelwa kanjani ekulweni nokuguquguquka kwesimo selitulu, tinkampani letitimele i-private sector tihlangeneke nematiko lathintekako kubuka ukuthi timali tingatfolakala kanjani tekulwa nalesimo. Mvunankulu Cleopas Dlamini avula lo mhlangano uthi-ke tinkampani kufanele tisekele tinhlelo tekulwa nalesimo.
We are seeing a re-emergence of diseases which we thought were now behind us. We all need to take action now. Climate change is our sonke. The government of the Kingdom of Eswatini is working tirelessly to create an enabling environment for climate action. We need to build climate resilience and delink our development from carbon emissions.
Indvuna ilitiko letemafa nel-Reckenback ithi-ke tinhlangothi letithintekako tetimali seticalile kuhlanganisa luhlaka lwetinkampani letisekela tinhlelo tekulwa nekunyukubeteka kwemvelo.
Is government's determination towards the issuance of green and sustainable sovereign bonds. In an effort to invest in the country's infrastructure, the government is looking at possible funding through the utilization of green bonds, which will be a part of the discussion for this indaba. Government, together with the Central Bank of Eswatini, is exploring this avenue whereby the bank will advise accordingly with the information that will be shared during this event.
Indvuna ilitiko letekuvakasha nendzaba temvelo Moses Vilakati ithi live likhona kutfola imali lenganga 8.5 million US dollars etikhwameni takamhlaba tekulwa neguquguquka kwesimo selitulu.
Sesibukeke nekwakuthi nyalo nasicedzayo sale sibuke emadolobha lesithi ngema-green cities ngoba nanawo atasisita kakhulu ukuze kwekuthi letindzaba tetintuthu tehle noma titincane kepha atehle.
Lobuke inhlangano yakamhlaba yentfutfuko UNDP Rose Sebatindira uthi-ke le nhlangano yibuke kucinisa kakhulu tinhlelo tekwatisa sive ngetehlakalo tisengakenteki. Lo msebenzi wesekelwe tinhlangano letifaka ekhatsi i-SNG Grant Torren kuletinye tinhlangano. Tindzabeni kubika Sondomlangeni kunathemba Shabangwe ezulwini.
Indvuna ilitiko letekuvakasha netindzaba temvelo Moses Vilakati seyemukele lunyazi lwezulu inkosi yemaNazaretha lekuleli kutawuba ingcenye yetinkonzo telibandla lakashembe. Indvuna icela eMaswati ukuthi achube inhlonipho embili kude batophindze babuye njengoba-ke kufika kwemalunga alelibandla ngephandle kutawenta ukuthi kuzuze tinhlangothi letahlukene temnotfo. Indvuna beyikhuluma enhloko hovisi yalelibandla lapha eSwatini eBethani.
Tekuvakasha vele kusiniketa kujabula kakhulu ngoba satibekela umgomo wokuthi asesimane silethe 2 million wema-tourists langeta lapha kithi nga-2025. Lokusho ukuthi sekuyabonakala ukuthi nangabe sitende kahle letindzaba sifakile nalehlaka religious tourism dingenda leti nombolo tethu ukuthi vele tiyofika nalapho sifuna kufika khona. Nakuthi abantu kanje kokuqala sicela lokuthi bababambe ngetandla dotimbili. Lapha nje asibemukele kahle bekunene, silalele nemigomo nemibandzela yabo ukuthi bafuna into tibe kanje. Kwesibili vele sihlale ngalendlela lesatiwa ngayo ukuthi sihlale simamatheka kuze kusina nakusasa batofika. Siyethemba nje ukuthi kutaba kunenge kubenefita eMaswatini nakubo basehleti lapha kithi kaNgwane. Lesingakuqela ke futhi ukukona ukuthi asimane sihlobise tindzawo tethu sihlobise lapho abantu batawuhamba khona ngani ngoba nababanenge nje bangaka labantu bayawubuyela emuva ngilo yasho ukuthi uyathi ngefika eSwatini ngakhanza abantu banje ngakhanza live linje nako leli sikufunako nako leli sikucelako sine siyajabula nje kakhulu kusho ukuthi nabantu befike kangaka kusho kona ukuthi live liyabemukela.
Indvuna yetemtsetfo nemtsetfosisekelo Pholile Shakhantu ithi banesifiso sekuthi imitsetfo lesakhankhanywa lebuke tindzaba telikhetfo icale kusebenta kulona lolikhetfo lwalonyaka. Indvuna ithi letingucuko labafuna tendiwe letitawutsinza likhetfo kusukela esigabeni sekuncoma. Indvuna ivete lokhu endlini yetimphunga ngesikhatsi kukhulunywa ngemtsetfo losakhankhanywa lohlose kuchibela umtsetfo wetelikhetfo, the Elections Amendment Bill of 2023.
Kulokunye lokutawendiwa ngulo mtsetfo losakhankanywa ukuthi kufanele lukhetfo lufake bomake, bobabe, insha nalabakhubatekile.
Zinhle kakhulu layinjalo kemangameli ngoba tonke tinhlangothi kuhle lokuthi timeleleke ikakhulu esigabeni nasofika ukuthi sikhuluma ngeParliament. Mengameli bonakale lokuthi tonke tinhlangothi timelelekile mengameli. Ingabe sibuka lokuthi sita kwenda kanjani.
Ngisena ngibhalisa nje nebangibuta simfuna kuyavota. Atibuta lokuthi ingabe nasebathi ngifuna kuyavota kunangathi ngifuna kuyavota esipiki ngamesingane sami khona ngawuvumeleka yini. Nami ngase ngalelwa yini ukuphela manje kutelana kube bafuna bangathi ngibhalisa la i-chief code yami nayo ithi ngavota.
Ingabe i-benchmarking indvuna iyentile yini lokuhlola nje ukuthi uregime ngabe bona benta kanjani.
Indvuna iphendvulile.
Sive ngeke sifoselelwe ukuthi dinombolo ukhethani make lana babe ngaka i-constitution iyabeka lokuthi at least kumele kube na 30% nasingafiki 30% kunemtsetfo lo buka kukhethwa wabomake. Kepha lana lokhu introduceako Madam President is that we must consider, meaning naloyo lokhetsisako for example ngalokho umtsetfo so uyakusho ukubeka ebaleni ukuthi nebantfu labasha sekukhutsata sive ukuthi wona kuniyancoma kumele nincome labangu-20 nanincoma nikhumbule ukuthi kunebantfu labasha labasuka eminyakeni longaka kunabomake kunebantfu labaphila ngekukhubateka but nakhona siyabuka lokuthi loyo muntu utawukhona yini lokwenta umsebenzi lokuhla ngale system yethu yetinkundla Madam President is that sikhetha umuntu lesimatiko.
Lo mtsetfo losakhankanywa sewutawuchubekela ekomitini lelibuke kusebenta kwaleli tiko endlini yetimphunga. Tindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themnkosi Mavimbela nginaThemba Shabangu yePhalamende.
Inhlangano yakamhlaba yetentfutfuko emkhankasweni wekulwa nekugucugucuka kwesimo selitulu sethule imotolo lenganyukubeti imvelo. Ngakusho kwalubukela uhlangothi lwetemvelo kule nhlangano lindiwe Dlamini, letimotolo talo lihlobo setivele tikhona kulamanye emave. Dlamini usile motolo isebenzisa gesi welanga.
Ndvunankulu Cleopas Dlamini utfole litfuba lekubukisisa le motolo lesebenta ngagesi welanga. Ndvunankulu kweuchazelwe kabanti kusi isebenta kanjani, waphindze wangena ngekhatsi wayishayela. Lobuke tindzaba tetemvelo enhlanganweni yakamhlaba yetentfutfuko lindiwe Dlamini uthi le motolo yalo lihlobo ngilenye yetimotolo letingasebendiswa kulwa nekulimala kwelidvwadvwasu lwesibhakabhaka.
Sizama kupromote ku-create awareness ukuthi bantfu bati ukuthi kunetimoto letinje. Siyethemba ukuthi nebantfu batawukhona ukuthi thengela sisuke kuletimoto letetsabo petrol letingcolisa lidvwadvwasi letfu. Yi-drive yethu sing-UNDP towards the climate change. Hulumende through Ministry of Natural Resources and Energy na through Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs ba committed ukuthi transport sector yethu ibe more green, ibe cleaner. Kune initiative yaga energy let's clean fuels. So this is one of the ways in which thina singu-NDP contributor kuleyo drive.
Dlamini uthi lamanye emave sekaqalile ukuyisebenzisa le moto. Kanti-ke le moto yetfulwe ngalokusemthethweni nguyenvunankulu. Itindzabeni kubika Sonto Mlangeni nginaThemba Shabangu ezulwini.
Mabhalane lomkhulu etiko leti-70 tembuso Sipho Thabethe ukhutsata ti-70 tembuso kwekutsi tibhalisele lukhetfo. Mabhalane lomkhulu ebekhuluma emahhovisini alelitiko eMbabane ngemuva kwekubhalisela lukhetfo.
Sikhutsata ke tonke ti-70 tembuso kutsi atihambe tiyoregister ngoba kulilungelo lelo lato tonke ti-70 lungelo la onke emaswati la above 18 kuthi baregister batakhele umende wabo lokufunwa ngibo batikhetsele.
Sihlalo we-Civil Service Commission Simangamamba uthi wonke umuntu akadlale indima yakhe kulolu khetho lolitako.
Ama-civil servants adlala iqhaza elikhulu kwa-government. Your politicians labaningi are civil servants. So vele siyabakhuthaza ukuthi abangene okhethweni futhi abangene babe elected. They must stand for elections. They must go and vote.
Kubhekeke kwekuthi kubhalisa kugcine mhla til-10 enyangeni letako. Sigaba lesilandzelako kutawuba nguleso sekubuka kwekuthi bantfu babhaliseke kahle yini. Etindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Nelisiwendla ngamandla titfombe tibuya etiko leti-70 tembuso.
I-Rotary Club of Mbabane eMbuluzi ithi ifise kwakha imali lesigidi semalangeni 1 million emalangeni. Ngelihambo lwekucanca litvala lesibebe. Lenhlangano ithi le mali lena itawuhamba yonke iyosita labeswele. Kanti ke lokhu kuvele ngesikhathi lenhlangano yemukela lishekele imali lengu-250,000 ebhange leNedbank ngemsombuluko emini. Luhambo lwalonyaka litawuba mhla ka-30 enyangeni yaKholwane.
Njalo ngeminyaka libhange leNedbank lifaka tinsambansamba tetimali eluhambeni lwesibebe Survivor Challenge. Umcondzisi wale libhange Fikile Nkosi uthi lokhu bakwendela kutsi lolu hambo luhambisana nalabakholelwa kuko njengelibhange.
We want to ensure that we target the SDGs of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, and we target specific ones, and indeed health is one of those. Education for all is one of all. The youth development, community development is actually one of those. So indeed we are doing good to ensure that the community in which we are living in Eswatini is actually having a better lifestyle because we are a part of government as well.
Mengameli we-Rotary Club Andrew Muwonge ulubongile lolusito lwemali waveta nalabakufisile lonyaka.
This year we want to have R1 million towards projects. And that's where the 6,000, so the target is 6,000 workers, and with all the sponsorships and partnerships we would like to target R1 million, 100% towards projects. So we'd like to encourage corporates, individuals, even if you have done the work multiple times, just sign up, contribute, and give back to society.
Luhambo lwalonyaka lutawuba mhla ka-30 enyangeni yaKholwane lulandzele imidlalo letawubanjwa mhla ka-29 kuyo yona leyo nyanga. Kanti-ke kubhalisa kungendiwa ekhasini langcondvomshina le-Rotary Club. Tindzabeni teSwatini TV kubika Themnkosi Mavimbela nginaThemba Shabangu eMbabane.
Ngenhloso yekuhlangabetana nesive esikhona ekusebenzisa indlela tekuchumana netebuchwephesha melula. Inkampani yamahlale ekhukhwini i-MTN seyibukete imali yekuthenga emadata. Losabukete kumaketha kule nkampani Mandla Gule uthi lokhu bakwende ngemuva kwekuvathikalo temakhasimende yale nkampani.
Lokunye ke lesikwendile ngilok introduce lama weekly bundles lama combo. Angithi lama combo ane data, ane voice, ane SMS. Le voice yakhona ikhona lokuthi ukhona kushayela network yaka MTN. Phenze ukhona nokushayela lamanye ama network.
Umphathi we-fintech Semshongwe uchaza kabanti kwekuthi kubuyekedwa kwendlela yekuthengiswa kwema-data bundles kutawusebenta kanjani ka-MTN Mobile Money.
Sinyusa lo mkhankaso lesithi manje news volume
asithi sinyusa ivolume sokuthi manje abantu sebatawukhona ukuthi bashaye ngemanani laphasi. Sine ka MTN Fintech sijabula kakhulu ngokuthi futhi la ka mobile money nawuthenga i-airtime uma bundles sekutaba ne bonus up to 50% kulamanye lama bonuses.
Sihlalo walabathengisa i-airtime yaka MTN kuleli Mlungisi Magongo uthi bayalithokotela lolu hlelo.
Ama customer bekade akhala ngedatha ukuthi idatha ya MTN esedulu. Sonyalo siyabonga lokho MTN sathule ama offers.
Inkampani yaka MTN ithi tawuchubeka ibuke indlela tekunciphisa tindleko tekuxhumana kuleli. Tindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Nelson Dlangamandla nambongwa Dubeka Manzini.
Bantfu labatfola lusito Cheshire Homes sebatawukhanza lendzawo kungathi kusekhaya. Kulandzela ukuthi isitolo saka Best Home and Electric sinikele ngempahla lengabita imali lefika ku 40,000 emalangeni. Lempahla ifaka ikhathi bosofa, ima-radio kanye netitulo. Cheshire Homes itsicela letinye tinkampani tilingise lesitolo tibanikelele.
Sitolo sempahla yasekhaya iBest Home and Electric sithi sinikele ngobe sifuna kubuyisela esiveni.
SimaSwati sithandza kutshala esiveni seMaswati siyinkampani yaseBest Electric. Lapha kunetihlobo tethu nema-customers ethu akhona lapha futhi. So sibone kukuhle ukuthi singu-Best Home Electric besingeta sitawuletha timpahla te-value ya 40,000.
Lesitolo sithi lokutawenda sikhone kubuyisela esiveni ukuthi nesive sichubeke sithenge kubo. Cheshire Homes isibongile lesipho yacela na letinye tinkampani tisilandzele lesinyathelo sekupha.
Itasilekelela kakhulu njengoba silikhaya thina vele siyathinga tintfo leti furniture kokuthi nalabantu bethu labatako ema-clients ethu ative asekhaya kube nabosofa kube nema-fridge labangafaka khona kudla kwabo baphindze babe nayo nanemisakato bakhone kulalela tindzaba leti nesiyinhlangano kusebenta kwethu nekusimama kwethu kulapha ebantwini ngoba vele sihlale sikhangetile sincongcotha sicela loko labangasisita ngako sidabe sinayo ke le fundraising walk lesinayo emaloloja mhla ka June 11 lesho sisonto lesibili ku June lapho nakhona lapho sikuthatha nje wonke ukuthi ake tajikelive esivivaneni kuyalisita kakhulu likhaya naleti hlobo tethu leti sivakashela lapho.
Cheshire Homes ithi lolu hambo lutawusita ekucokeleleni timali letitawubuye tisite eMaswati latsinga lusito lalelikhaya. Ndzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Themkosi Mavimbela nginamuze Mkhonda kumatsapa.
Bantfu labasha besifundza sakamanzini bakhombise lisasasa lelikhulu lekwati kabanti ngelusito labangalutfola kahulumende kanye nekufundza kabanti ngemisebenzi labangayenta njengoba batheleke ngetinkhani eMavuso Trade Center lapho bekufundziswa khona kabanti ngaloku umphathi welihlangothi lolubuka emakhono ebantfu labasha kokuthi ke angakuphi etiko letisebenti Sithembile Hlophe uthi lokhu kukhombisa ukuthi bantfu labasha batimisele ngelikusasa labo.
Esithi-ke bantwana abasale baphuma la ekuthenini bafundzela kuyoqashwa sebafundzela ukuthi bathole lwati batokhona kucala emabhizinisi basesebancane sithi silwa nalendzaba ye-youth unemployment leseyikhulile kakhulu sifuna abantwana ukuthi bakhule bakha imisebenzi yabo letawuphinze ibe ngumsebenzi letawusita labanye.
Bafundzi bavete imivo yabo ngalolu sito lolulethwa nguhulumende.
Sivuleka leti ngcombo tethu ukuthi sathi ukuthi empilweni sifuna kuba yini kuyasita nekuthi sikhethe tifundvo letitosita.
Sesikhathi indiwa ukhanda ukuthi wende tifundvo letitsite bese ina combination yakho uthole ukuthi ayisahlangani maybe lo ufuna kwenda yabo.
Bayasifundisa based on our personalities ukuthi ngiphi imisebenzi lesilungelako futhi lekahle for us.
They just enlighten us about how the world has changed and basita on choosing our careers.
Litiko letisebenti nenhlalakahle yato ngekubambisana nalamanye ematiko latsindzekako litawuhambela tonkhe tifundza takuleli lifundzisa abafundzi ngebumcoka bekukhetsa tifundvo letitawubasita bakhone kusungula emabhizinisi batfole imisebenzi kanye nekubatisa kabanti ngelusito lwahulumende. Etindzabeni Eswatini TV kubika Nelson Dlangamandla nginambongwa Dubeka Manzini.
Umphathi wamasipala welidolobha lasenhlangano Babsi Mavuso sowetfule ngalokusemthethweni bahlolile ababili baleli dolobha Mavuso uyachaza ukuthi labahloli batawubonakala ngani kuvikela ukuthi emathabelangoti angathathi ematfuba ekuganga.
Umphathi waledolobha uthi umsebenzi lomkhulu otabendiwa ngilabahloli baledolobha ufaka ekhatsi kubuka ukuthi kudla lokuthengiswa etitolo akuphelelwa sikhatsi, kulahlwa kwedibi, kuhlobwa kwetakhiwo, kubala kulokunye.
Lo muhla ke sicela kubathula lokuthi sina babempendulo Mhlanga longiyena lelo office la ka inspectorate usebenzisana na ku Precious Lameni laba ke babonakala ngokuthi banencwadi yamasipala leqhamuka la officeini baphindze babe nala lokuthiwa i-power of entry lokusho ukuthi imvume lebanete emagunya ukuthi bakhone ukungena etitolo bakhone ukusesha la kulaba kuseshako.
Lomunye walabahloli impendulo Mhlanga ucela takhamiti talelidolobha ukuthi tibabambise basenda lo msebenzi lohlose kuphephisa nekuthuthukisa timpilo tabo.
Singacela nje ke kulamalanga sinesayali yankulu yemaplots liyana Mdluli lina kakhulu emaplots senhlangano ayena kakhulu lokubese kwendakele indzawo esabukeki so kanti ukuthi sekubanene netilwane sekubacana tigebengu so siyacela nje sibabonile ke labanye sibacelile emavikini aphelile sifikile sacela ukuthi basibambise kulelo hlangothi siyawubona umehluko kakhulu khona lapha tsinzekako siyacela nje sichubeke sibambisane kanjalo going forward.
Mavuso uphindze uthi inhloso lenkulu yokwethula labahloli kugwema tinkinga letivele esikhatsini lesengcile lapho kube nebantfu labangatiwa labativete njengebahloli. Lobika ke Ndzabeni Eswatini TV nguthando kuhle Mdluli ngisedolobheni Enhlangano.
Kutemidlalo sihlalo wenhlangano lengamele umdlalo webhola esifundeni saseshiselweni Bhekani Khumalo uthe amaqembu lamabili laqhamuka kulesifundza lokuyintsingizini Hotspurs kanye neRangers adzinga kusekeleka ngetimali kuti atochubeka ahlale ka-Premier League naseminyakeni letako. Khumalo bekakhuluma netinsatheli talomsakato esifundzeni saseshiselweni.
Avikini lamabili endlulile licembu le-Rangers lasesifundeni saseshiselweni laba boshampiyoni bendzebe ye-MTN National First Division lokwende ukuthi lenyukele esigabeni saka-Premier League eminyakeni lotako webhola wa-2023-2024. Kunyuka kwe-Rangers kusho ukuthi sekutoba namacembu lamabili ka-Premier League lechamuka esifundeni saseshiselweni kwekucala emlandweni kanye nesingizini Hotspurs.
Kodwa kakhulu ukuthi sibe namacembu lamabili kaPLE sisifundza saseshiselweni lokhu umlando ke lokho ngakithi. Sisathothile nje ke sitawucela lokuthi kubo labaphathi bema-team kanye nabadlali bathi committee kakhulu kulesigaba lesi bakuso baqonze ukuthi kusetshenzwa kakhulu vele kulesigaba lesi. Singanxusa ke nema-stakeholders lamanye ukuthi abuye asilekelele noma ngabe ungubani sicela kutana bakwethu ukuthi osibambisa kude lesifundza saseshiselweni sitokhula indlondlobalo ngestelibhola.
I-Rangers yadliwa inkemba ka-Premier League ngomnyaka wa-2021-2022 kanti insingizini Hotspurs yona nakucala umnyaka wa-2022-2023 yatsenga ligama levovovo kude itodlala ka-Premier League. Lobiyela umsakato Eswatini TV kutemidlalo ngilinda Dlamini eMbabane.
Tingako lesikuphathele dona lomhla ekuseni talapha ekhaya sibahlola imakethe ngesimo selitulu uma sibuya sichubeka nelihlelo ongayenzako.
Provide a loving home through the official Banfa for Child Foster Care Program.
Foster care is the temporary placement of a child who is in need of care and protection. The child is placed in the care of a suitable person who is not the parent or guardian of the child. It involves bringing a child into your home to care for and nurture as the state-certified caregiver. You could be the foster parent that our children dream of. For more information, visit our website or give us a call.
Pay your TV license quickly and easily with MTN Momo.
Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
I do the most. Watch local TV on the go with the Eswatini TV app for only 20 emalangeni per month. Do the most with Eswatini TV app. Download from Google Play Store or App Store. We're good together.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Welcome back. Sakuvusela nawe losanza kusivulela. As we had mentioned earlier, ukuthi sibesabe sikhulumisana na marketing and products manager ka MTN Business Lungile Mzizi. For the first time ever, inkampani ke ya MTN luhlangothi lwa business lutabelendela bosomabhizinisi labancane lilanga labo lapho batawungetelwa lwati ngatoti indzabate emabhizinisi ilanga ke leli libitwa ngekuthi SME Day. Esithakumela ukuthi luhlangothi le business is one of the 6 sectors of the post-COVID economic recovery plan delivered Eswatini. Naqala nje umnyaka wa 2020 uhulumende weSwatini declared the year 2020 as the year of the micro, small and medium enterprises. SMEs are considered the backbone of many economies and also they are crucial for growth and job creation as they account for nearly 86% of employment opportunities in developing countries. Kanti ke lapha ekhaya eSwatini bosomabhizinisi labancane labaqasha abantu balinganiselwa ku 70% abantu labaqashwako labaqashwa ngibo bosomabhizinisi. Kanti ke SME Day yaqala lamuhla. It will take only 2 days. In studio sesivele sinaye a marketing and products manager Lungile Mzizi loswa khona ka MTN. Good morning and welcome. Thank you for joining us on the show. I think it's a great initiative lena leni India, particularly because also naye uhulumende uyihambisa imbili indzaba yema SMEs ngelokuthi nabo kukhona sandla basifakako ekudlobaliseni kwe-economy. Just kusiniketa nje just isithombe ukuthi nifike njani ininkampani ukuthi ube khona lo msebenzi bosomabhizinisi bafundziswe ngetemabhizinisi kubaleka kangakanani vele.
Good morning and thank you for the invitation. Kumtoka kakhulu ukuthi sing-MTN ukuthi SMEs, as we have said, ukuthi they contribute so much to the GDP of countries. Kuti adlodlobale. This is not just something that we are following or doing as MTN locally, but it is driven also from MTN Group. So the SME Day from MTN Group's perspective, which means that more than 20 countries are going to benefit. SMEs from more than 20 countries are going to be attending. So for us, we feel we cannot leave behind SMEs if we say that we are for connectivity or for connectivity for Africa's progress. Businesses share such a huge sector, especially because we've just mentioned employment in Gombe, more than 80% value. People that are employed by SMEs. So if you don't enable or empower SMEs, really you are leaving quite a huge chunk of the economic players that are important in any economy.
All right. So I suppose ukuthi mhlambe kule SME day there'll be sessions lapho khona nikhuluma on challenges or noma ama needs. Now you have had experience now SMEs uyahlala nawo. Ingabe what are the challenges nje laba vetako ukuthi babhekana nawo on a daily basis?
What we've seen is definitely around efficiencies. The cost of doing business is quite high, especially in Africa, when you look at logistics, when you look at where do they source material. So our feeling is probably through digitalization, you can be able to make some of those challenges to be lesser, but also help them to be more agile, help them to also be able to tap into the global space, because now you don't need to be actually physically present in any market in order for you to trade. So I think that was the greatest problem in terms of market, in terms of how do we, scale any business. So you find that an SME remains an SME forever, because maybe they are not able to tap into other opportunities. So our feeling or our belief is that we can help them do business better by helping them or giving them solutions, but not only solutions, information, because I think that's the greatest one that helps. Locally, we do SME seminars every year. It's been 5 years now. We do maybe 3, 4 per year. But we never focus really on what MTN can do. It's always about partnering for them to understand where can I get my market, what's the industry knowledge that I need for what I do. If I do chickens, if I do supply of commodities, what exactly do I need to know for me to progress in what I'm doing?
Yeah,
yes.
Lungile, I've attended many seminars or workshops for SMEs, and I think one of the crucial challenges that they face is they are struggling with record keeping. So what solutions are there for SMEs, just to be good at
Okay, for in the digital space, there are so many solutions. So one of them is in terms of accounting. You no longer need to necessarily have a physical accountant, but you can have. But there are solutions like Sage that are online, that are cloud services that SMEs can tap into and be able to be efficient and be able to do that record keeping that is sometimes a challenge. Also, I was just thinking around finances and how they move money around, because some of them are unbanked. So the advent of fintechs has also helped greatly for SMEs to be enabled to be able to trade. Also just being able to integrate with big companies like MTN, where they can actually directly take payment from their customers. Because another issue is if you are paying me as an individual is different than when I'm being paid as a business. You don't want to mix personal finances with business finances. So I really find that some of the solutions that we have now, or the digital era that we are at, has opened such a world of opportunities. And I'm quite excited about the SME Day because it's also above 20 countries. It means that SMEs can interact with other SMEs in other countries and actually share issues. So MTN's objective right now is to say, can we hear you? What else do you need? What else can we solution with you for? So we've brought in partners that SMEs can actually speak to or actually share their challenges. And also these partners want to speak to them to say, you know what, you don't need to struggle so much around this area because I can assist you. So we are quite excited for the next 2 days.
Okay. So are there any success stories, during these seminars? I suppose that, there are SMEs that are successful in their business. What are some of the success stories that they share during the seminars?
We are still looking forward to some of those stories, but locally, I can share that since we've been with SMEs and collaborating with SETCO, Ministry of Commerce and SWADE, we do have success stories because these SMEs that we've been dealing with, mainly in agriculture, we do have success stories of how you assist with connectivity and how the other partners have taken them from a certain area, a certain place to a bigger scale. Like the whole thing around the chicken rearing, I think the challenge has always been stuff like that. And SETCO has come into that value chain to say you can actually scale that to a factory where you can actually declude for everyone. Even if you are rearing 20 chickens, you don't need to actually do it yourself. You can go through an abattoir, you can go through the right health standards for you to then be able to sell to a better market than maybe just consumer to consume. So I feel that there are success stories also around some of the solutions that digitalization has brought, because you can have your own receptionist, which is a cloud service. Even if you are a sole trader, but this receptionist says, welcome to So-and-so's trading company. If you want human resources, it directs you to somewhere. And then also invoicing, because of Search, which are also cloud services that are out there being sold. You're able to be professional. I think some of the things that we have seen is sometimes the presentation that SMEs have, sometimes it's not understood in certain sectors as you grow. So you need to be more professional in how you present yourself, in the way that the paperwork that you bring through. If I say, bring me an invoice, bring me a quotation, it must be at a certain level. So these are some of the opportunities that I have seen. But I am still looking forward to just hearing more stories from across the country through SME Day.
All right. So, the importance of having a business idea, great business idea, and also just to have a profitable business, because I think labanye mhlambe baba nema business lafana nawo kwenza ukuthi abasakhona kwenda profits la kahle. I think it's also important ukuthi mhlambe bathi ukuthi I should have a business plan, also I should have a business that will make me profits. Ingabe vele mhlambe lokho, do they understand that niyakhona ukubavula emehlo ngalokho?
Yes, actually locally, what we are doing, what we'll do this year, over and above SME seminars that are focusing on agriculture, because that's where I think the homogeneousness is, where someone is doing this and someone is doing it again. We are also focusing on the medium and large SME, where we do business charts and we discuss things that are outside of what we are all used to, which is commodity trading. And we discuss what are the opportunities also in the technology space. And we discuss what else is out there that an SME can do, over and above just retail. Manufacturing, what are the opportunities? Mining, what are the opportunities? Because as you said, there is a lot of similarity in what we are doing. But I also think it's because for the longest time, there have been so many barriers to just tapping into other industries. You need to be banked, which now is no longer an issue. You need to maybe have an office, which now is no longer an issue, because with connectivity, I don't need to have an office. As long as I have presence digitally out there, I can actually do a business. You need to rent out a shop to sell clothes, to sell whatever, which is no longer an issue, because you can have a digital platform and be able to trade wherever you are and trade with other people in other countries, because again, there's so much fluidity in terms of location. So I really feel with the digital era, and COVID did help in this sector, because as we're all locked down and the world was locked down, you know, we're still trading, we're still talking to each other, communicating. We still needed goods and services, and there was a way that we're making sure that we have those goods and services. So it opened up so many possibilities, especially for SMEs. So one is really hopeful and is really excited around the issue of SMEs, because there is so much you can do. So that is why platforms that bring information to us, they should really tap into, just to understand what else is out there. What can I do, especially the youth? There is so much they can do. There are so many efficiencies. Once you are connected, you can go anywhere. Yes.
All right, so the event is starting today for 2 days. Just take us through today and tomorrow, and I assume there'll be speakers, as I think you did mention. There'll be speakers. So what else will be happening during the SME Day?
Okay, so the event is hosted physically in Johannesburg. So it will start at 10 a.m. For the next 2 days, it will just start at 10 a.m. until later. So there is a physical presence of other customers and stakeholders in Joburg. They are, I would say, traders or partners that will be exhibiting, showing more possibilities in terms of connectivity or solutions that SMEs can do. So us here at home, we can still tap into that. More information is available in some of our digital platforms in terms of how we can tap into that. There will be speakers, but the speakers are not necessarily pushing MTN product. The speakers are talking to Africa, the SME space. What is it that we can do to enable? And then also drawing conversations to say, what else? What are the new challenges that you are facing as an SME at this current point in time? And what is interesting with SMEs is that every time we say SMEs, one customer did say that it's like we're talking about small. That's not what we're talking about. Obviously, there's the informal, there's the very small, maybe sole trader, but you go up into the 5 million turnovers, 10 million, we are still talking to an SME. There's no other name for them. So there is a lot that they can tap into in terms of the speakers. We also have partnered with Microsoft, so there will be Microsoft there sharing in terms of what other enablers are there that an SME can tap into in order to grow their business.
Right, just looking sabatak thola nje makhasin eno social media. Alright, thanks so much Lungile. Sibonga kakhulu ukuthi sithemba ukuthi nabo bosoma business labancane batawusitakala ngalo lelila ngani itabelendaka today. Njengoba savedile ukuthi for more information you can visit their social media page ka Facebook, ka Twitter bayatholakala ukuthi toba ingcenye yawo lomsebenzi lomkhulu. Second break start best siqhubeka nehlelo.
Lesi sikhathi lapho khona emaphoyisa agubha kuba khona kwawo even. Kulapho kukhuthathwa khona sive ukuthi sike sihlale phansi sibuke bumcoka bemaphoyisa empilweni yabantu. Siphinze sibuke indlela letinsha tekuphepha kubo bonke bucala lobuveta sihloko. Sive sakangwane siyakhunjutwa ukuthi singawafaki emaphoyisa etinkulumeni tepolitiki ngoba liphoyisa alingeni futhi alingenelani nepolitiki. Emaphoyisa alwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco kuphela nje. Ingako emaphoyisa athi wonke umuntu eveni akahlale ngaphandle kwekunceneka ukuthi angahle ahlaselwe tilwane tasendle. Umuntu lohlala Eswatini akatiphilele atisebentele ngaphandle kwekwesaba kuhlaselwa kwemucwa nekucekelwa phansi kwempahla yakhe. Nawe wena lophathekile emaphoyisa athi digulele kahle uze uphile ngaphandle kwekuphathamiseka. Lokungenteka ngekuthi tidlova tingene tihlasele labo labakunakekelako kuleyo ndlu. Sive lesihlakaniphile nguleso lesiphakamisa kusebenta kwemaphoyisa nabo bonke labalwa nebucala. Ngale kwaloko timbungushe tiyawuwangenela emazinyane kungenamuntu ekhaya. Lo mlayeto niulethelwa ngemaphoyisa embube abambisene nomsakato wetithombe.
Do you remember the spinning thing? This is us. This picture represents what we did. We were there when coronavirus wreaked havoc in our population. Together with other stakeholders, we formed the first line, controlling the spread of the unknown and unseen enemy of the people. Anxious ourselves, we collected dead bodies countrywide. At the time when no one wanted to come near dead bodies of loved ones, we did care for our fellow citizens. Thank you, the people of Eswatini and teams of first responders.
Nene bekunene kusetandleni tesive kuthi imimango ingagcini kukampunzi edla emini. Sive sakangwane nebantu labakhethe kuhlala Eswatini abaphile ngekukhululeka nekuthi kubethe lo nyathelo lilungelo lalabanye egameni lekufuna lilungelo lakhe. Sive asikhumbule ukuthi emaphoyisa bomake nabobabe labatinikele kwenta siqiniseko ukuthi wonke umuntu lwenempahla yakhe ingacekelwa phansi ngulomunye. Wonke umuntu akahlale ngekuthula nangaphandle kokwesaba timve letingatiwa. Emaphoyisa ngekulandzela nekushiqilela umthetho athi into yemuntu ayibe ngeyakhe umuntu. Sive asijinge siwabambise siphinde siwasekele emaphoyisa emsebentini wawo. Kude emalungelo aso sive osomabhizinisi kanye nebantu labasebentako anganyatheleki. Khona-ke imimango itawukwakha nemakhaya akhulise bantwana ngaso sandla lesiya emlonyeni. Emaphoyisa naso sive abasebente ngebudlelwane nangekubambisana kulwa nebucala netingoti temgwaco.
kusivulela sitawubuka simo semgwaqo na Sergeant Kule asivusele kulelo mhlekuseni ngabe kambeka kanjani emgwaqweni elive.
Angivusele Thombeni ngivusele umbukelo waloluhlelo sivuka namuhla kunemkhemetelo etindzawo letiphakeme yebo awusiyo loqinile kepha nje kungaba kugcizelela kubo bashayeli ukuthi awube kunene asichubeke sishayele ngalokukhulu ukucophelela kulandzela ukuthi lawo mathosi labonakalayo emgwaqweni angayenda ingoti ikakhulukazi na uyahamba ngelitubane lelisedulo kanti ke nenkhungu iyabonakala asichubeke sikhanyise emalambu wende isiqiniseko sokuthi uyabonakala ngesikhathi uqine ke namgamu lophephile wekulandzela ke yona ke imotolo uyaphakama umthamo wemotolo nelinala labo labahamba ngetinyawo emgwaqweni kanti ke emadolobheni ethu lamakhulu tiba netemgwaqo mbabane kumathapha kamanzini nalapha indasi yenhlangano isebenta kahle mhlambe lesingagcizelela kuko nje ukuthi etindzaweni letiningi delive ngete ngabala ngayinye ikakhulukazi emigwaqweni lesolo ihambeka bakhona labo labalungisako umgwaqo bavala wona ema-potholes bayawubonakala ke ngekubeka leto timpawu zemgwaqo bayatholakala nje ke nawuqhamuka lapha endasi edolobheni lasesipiki noma ke enhla nahoho ubuya khona etule emotshane babekile ke timpawu tabo nje lana usuka khona kubonkhaba utakhona edolobheni kuvala leto tigojana nakuletinye ke tifundza asibahloniphe silinciphise litubane kuleto tizawana leto nekuveta ke ukuthi nabo labaqesheshako eceleni komgwaqo kubalekile lokuthi na uyowendlula uhambe ngelitubane leliphansi kakhulu iyakhiwa ke nemigwaqo njengawo umgwaqo lokhona etule edolobheni nasembabane longenako lapha ngabo icourt long somhlelo road longena ekhathi edolobheni nakuletinye ke tifundza kuyasetshenzwa lapha endase kumathapha ku Kings of the second nasi yasitela lesibeka khona lapha kubo Ruchi na usuka lapha kubo Felix nalapho kuyasetshenzwa lapho tibekiwe ke tonke leto tindzawo timpawu sithi nje bashayela bachubeke bashayele ngalokukhulu ukucophelela mhlambe nje lengingacela nje kuyendlulisa awube kunene imfuyo yiningi emgwaqweni iyasilimata sive semaswati iyakulimata tivakashi telive ibusela emuva intuthuko siyasinxusa sive ukuthi bekunene letinkomo setiningi kakhulu la emgwaqweni sibangela netingoti njalo ngelilanga ikhona ingoti noma ke ingoti lebangwa ngiyo inkomo siyacela kakhulu kuba nika inkomo kubafuyi ukuthi asiyikhweshise imfuyo umuntu nje angenda sibonelo na usuka lapha emafutheni uya lapha eKM3 emgwaqweni lomkhulu lapho sekubonakele nakhona ukuthi ngelilanga labajakele kuyawugibela yona indiza kuba khona lo tsinsekako siyacela bekunene ukuthi sibambisene malangeni lamahla senesiqiniseko ikakhulukazi itakhamuthi lapho bomafutheni bombadlane bomalinza uyophuma khona lapha eBontandweni bosuweni uyophuma khona lapha bo KM3 ukuthi abe kunene asiyikhweshiseni imfuyo akusiko kuphela lapha elibonjeni nakuletinye nje tindzawo iningi kakhulu imfuyo emgwaqweni kepha inebanikati nathi sitawena lokufanele nalabo lesibambisana nabo kuzaba kuyigcoca lemfuyo sitawuphepha sive semaswati ngimfisele lisuku loluhle sisachubeka nemsebenzi wenu endlini emsakato naso sive semaswati sisifisele langa lelisha naliphephile sisawuchubeka na umsebenzi wakho siyabonga kakhulu
Siba kakhulu Kule kusinike dala yombiko sitabahlola emakethe sitawubuya nema international news.
Using an ATM is a simple process. You simply insert your card, punch in your PIN, and withdraw your cash. However, this simple process can open up you and your finances to some dangers. So it is very important that you proceed with caution when using the ATM and never share your PIN. When approaching the ATM, it is very important that you have your card ready, either in your hand or in your pocket, so that you do not waste time going through your belongings, either your wallet or your handbag, as this will give opportunities for thieves to act. Thirdly, put your money away immediately. Don't give anyone an opportunity to grab your cash or your card after a withdrawal. Lastly, always take your receipt after each and every transaction. It is important that you get your slip after every transaction because it contains crucial information about your balances, and that may lead you to be a victim of bolandela. Be cyber aware, be cyber smart.
license quickly and easily with MTN Momo. Simply dial *007 *3 hash and select option 8 for TV license. Enter your national ID number as your reference and the amount you wish to pay. Then enter your PIN to confirm your payment. Once your payment has been made, you'll receive a confirmation SMS of your payment. If you're a first-time payer, you get another SMS for your TV license. So legalize your entertainment from the comfort of your home. Pay your TV license the easy and convenient way with MTN Momo.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Stay home and watch Eswatini TV. Stay safe.
Welcome back. Good morning. Thank you for staying with us. Let's take a look at international news. Witnesses in the Sudanese capital reported clashes and airstrikes minutes after a one-week humanitarian ceasefire took effect on Monday night, with the smell of smoke still lingering after gunfire and explosions rocked Khartoum throughout the day.
Minutes after the ceasefire went into effect, witnesses reported airstrikes and clashes in what's the latest of numerous truces to have been announced and violated in 5 weeks of fighting. Aid groups are desperate for a passage of humanitarian aid, and the UN envoy for Sudan again urged both sides to end the violence permanently.
A short-term ceasefire is not the goal. It is an instrument to go forward. We will need talks about a permanent cessation of hostilities, and we will need to consider and, of course, support a new political process.
At the heart of the conflict is the power struggle between the army chief, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, and the RSF paramilitary group head, known as Hemeti. The pair are former...
Year-old Abdel Nasser Mohammed says there is desperate need for education too. His hopes of going to university have been dashed by Sudan's civil war, which started on April 15th, triggering intercommunal violence in his hometown in West Darfur. He had to flee to Chad without his parents.
My mom and dad traveled to Khartoum to get medical treatment. They are stuck there because of the conflict, so they couldn't come with me. It's only me and my siblings.
Mohammed says he has not heard from his parents in weeks and does not know if they're alive or dead. He now lives in this tiny makeshift shelter with his brothers and sisters and says there is no way to take his Sudanese university entrance exams. Malek Mohammed, a teacher who has just fled to Chad from West Darfur, laments the squalid conditions that the children he used to teach are now forced to live in.
All the students, pupils, and teachers from the schools are now here. Here, we don't have the right environment for education, and it's a huge challenge, especially in the long term. If we have to stay for a longer period, there'll be no learning, which causes problems in society later on.
Mohammed says teachers are trying to work out a way for children to take Sudanese exams in Chad. The government in Khartoum has ceased to function since the civil war started, so coordination looks unlikely. Education Cannot Wait, ECW, is the United Nations Fund for Education in Times of Crisis. The organisation's director, Yasmin Sharif, made a visit to Chad in May, pledging $3 million to Chad for educational needs. She was asked why she thinks it's necessary to support education, even when the need for basics like food and water is so high.
Empower them to raise out of the ashes of that suffering. You don't empower them with water and food. These are necessities, but that alone is not going to empower them and prevent them from all the protection challenges, such as gender-based violence, sexual abuse, getting into armed groups, and sort of not giving them any hope for the future.
Sudan's war's impact on children is not confined to education. The UN announced on May 12th that a Sudanese factory producing 60% of specialised food used to treat child malnutrition in the country was destroyed in the fighting.
All of this increases the risk of not being able to reach children in time. If we can't reach children in time, then there's a greatly increased risk of those children dying.
As for Mohammed, he says,
The war has had a huge impact on my plans. All the dreams I've had since my childhood won't be realized.
tens of thousands of Sudanese children will find themselves in the same situation.
Russian forces targeted the eastern Ukrainian city of Dnipro overnight with missiles and attack drones, wounding at least 8 people, Ukraine's army said on Monday. Kyiv has denied involvement in an attack in the Russian border region of Belgorod that Moscow blamed on Ukrainian sabotage.
It left behind a trail of destruction. On Monday, these residents of Russia's Belgorod region took in the damage done to their homes. Some bore traces of shelling. According to the regional governor, several people were injured.
We are completing a door-to-door inspection in the border villages and the town of Graveron. Most of the population has left the area. Those who don't have their own means of transportation, we're helping them leave. Those who do have their own means of transportation are leaving by themselves.
Russia has announced a counter-terrorist operation in the area, which borders Ukraine. Moscow has said that saboteurs were behind the attack, claiming it was carried out following a cross-border incursion, charges which Kyiv has denied. A group calling itself the Liberty of Russia Legion, allegedly made up of Russian fighters based in Ukraine, has, however, claimed the attack.
It's time to put an end to the Kremlin's dictatorship. Thank you very much to all those who support us and send us donations. Your support is what reminds us every day of our final goal, on the Red Square in Moscow. Be brave and don't be afraid, because we're coming back home. Russia will be free.
Neither version of events could be independently verified. The attack comes as Russia claims to have captured Bakhmut, a narrative which Kyiv also denies. On the ground, fighting is still ongoing.
Gold prices were flat on May 21st as traders looked for more clarity around the U.S. debt ceiling negotiations and the Federal Reserve's interest rate path.
Upbeat words from Joe Biden as he returned home from the G7 summit. The president spoke by phone to Republican House Speaker Kevin McCarthy as the two sides are set to resume negotiations on raising the debt ceiling. McCarthy characterized the chat as productive.
What I'm looking at are where our differences are and how could we solve those. But I've been very clear to him from the very beginning. We have to spend less money than we spent last year.
McCarthy and the Republicans are demanding deep spending cuts and restrictions on future spending, while also attaching other measures, including stiffer work requirements for recipients of government aid. Measures most Democrats are not in favor of. The president initially wanted the debt ceiling approved with no strings attached, saying the U.S. always pays its bills. But now Biden has made some concessions, agreeing to freeze spending and make some budget cuts as he urges Republicans to back off their extreme positions.
It's time for Republicans to accept that there is no bipartisan deal to be made solely on their partisan terms. They have to move as well. All 4 congressional leaders agree with me that default is not, let me say it again, default is not an option.
The stakes are high. A failure to raise the debt ceiling could have a catastrophic effect on the U.S. economy, tipping it into recession, while also having a broader impact on the global financial markets.
In 2013, the Third Civil War turned the daily lives of thousands of families into one of fear and struggle for survival.
There's an atmosphere of mourning in Bangui, with feelings of pain resurfacing for many victims. Nadege lives in the capital's Yasinda district. Every year, as this week approaches, she becomes haunted by nightmares.
They killed my husband and my 2 daughters. They took everything we had in the house. I was saved because that night I was visiting my parents. Since then, my life has become dark. Thanks to the word of God, I try to forget this misadventure. Even if nothing is the same, my hope is based on justice.
Justice is a word on everyone's lips. Every day, a growing number of victims come here to receive help from the network of Central African psychologists.
In our health center, we receive no less than 50 victims a day. For example, we have an exercise called the Lifeline, which is an exercise that allows a therapist to choose the approach he wants to be able to identify the breach in order to propose a healing solution.
The Special Criminal Court launched its first trial on October the 31st, 2022, 4 years after its establishment. It's become a ray of hope for victims.
There are 32 people held by the Special Criminal Court. As part of this procedure, there are 3 people who are already tried in the first instance, that is to say by the judges of the Assize section. And the hearings in this context resume on May 29th.
The Special Criminal Court will conduct more trials this year. Meanwhile, the Truth, Justice, Reparation and Reconciliation Commission, created in 2020, will continue its work.
The United States and Papua New Guinea have agreed to sign a security pact, part of which is expected to give the U.S. vital access to the Pacific Island nation's water.
U.S. President Joe Biden has shifted attention to the Pacific over concerns about China's increasing influence in the region, as Beijing has been giving diplomatic and financial assistance to some Pacific nations. Papua New Guinea Prime Minister James Marape says agreements with Washington that focus on defense cooperation and maritime matters will be formally signed after parliamentary approval.
Now we're elevating to a specific defense cooperation agreement, something that is falling short of a treaty. And so this has been an ongoing work for some time. The conversations has been running for the last 5, 6, 7 years. We've now looked into the importance of USA, PNG stepping up in our own relationship.
The defense and maritime agreements will allow the U.S. access the waters near the sea routes to Australia and Japan. In return, Papua New Guinea will gain access to U.S. satellite surveillance.
The shipwright agreement, for instance, allows for us to have a working partnership with U.S. Navy and U.S. Coast Guard. With the U.S. Coast Guard, it now gives us an opportune time to have access, not just on maritime access, but satellite access to illegal fishing, drug traffickers, illegal loggers, and all those illegal transportations and activities that happens on high sea.
Elias Wahengu, Papua New Guinea Foreign Affairs Secretary, led the negotiation and says the pact will not prevent Papua New Guinea from engaging with other nations.
We are within the ambit of the foreign policy perspective of Papua New Guinea, friends to all, enemies to none. This agreement does not in any way preclude PNG from engaging with another nation in a future defense cooperation agreement.
Analyst says this pact will raise concerns over U.S.-China rivalry in the region and potentially put Pacific Island nations in the middle of U.S.-China tension. In 2022, the Solomon Islands agreed to sign a security pact with China.
Obviously, there comes a point where one has to be careful if those different external players reach heightened levels of tension, and PNG and its neighbors can be caught in the midst of it.
U.S. Secretary of State arrived in Papua New Guinea on Monday and is to sign the agreements at the Forum for Indo-Pacific Islands Cooperation, or FAPEC, summit in Port Moresby.
Authorities on the French Indian Ocean island of Mayotte on May 22nd began demolishing homes in a large slum in an operation against substandard housing and illegal migration.
Outside the town of Kungu on Mayotte, a growing heap of metal sheeting and cinder blocks as bulldozers began tearing down one of the island's largest shanty towns early Monday morning.
The objective, I've said it, is to put an end to shanty towns and move towards access to housing. That's the policy of Mayotte, so we'll continue to demolish.
The operation has been delayed by a month amid court challenges. Dubbed Wambuchu, meaning take back in the local language, it's aimed not just at fighting substandard housing, but also illegal immigration and a mounting crime problem that have increasingly frustrated the island's citizens. Residents of some 160 shacks forced to pack their things and leave for good, a heartbreaking blow for this working mother.
I work hard in this world to raise my 7 children. I work and I pay taxes like everyone else.
Local authorities say they've offered social housing to the displaced, but that few have taken them up. Many say they don't want to be relocated. Many more fear expulsion. Half of Mayotte's 350,000 residents don't have French nationality, with most undocumented migrants there coming from the neighboring Comoros Islands, which gained independence from France in 1974. The operation has sparked a diplomatic spat with Comoros, which has refused to take back its expelled citizens. French authorities say they plan to demolish some 1,000 illegal homes on Mayotte over the coming months.
The Midwestern city of Chicago is struggling to accommodate a wave of migrants, many from Central and South America, transported to the city after entering the U.S. at America's southern border.
After a months-long ordeal fleeing Venezuela, asylum seeker Lismar Pinto eventually crossed the U.S. southern border. From there, she was bused to a police station in Chicago, where she stayed on the lobby floor for 8 days.
It was hard, of course, at the beginning, at least for us. We were in a station where there were sexual predators, something like that. We arrived with my 2 grandchildren, a 5-month-old and the other 5 years old.
Pinto is among hundreds of migrants arriving weekly in Chicago, a destination for many like her and her traveling companion, Jose Moran, who hope to start a new life here as their asylum cases wind through the U.S. immigration system.
We have new possibilities. They are giving us shelter. They help us with food. We have had medical attention. And the children are studying in a school. They are enrolled. So all of these things have given us a very important change in life.
The influx of migrants transported from border states like Texas has overwhelmed Chicago's shelters and aid services, forcing city leaders to declare a state of emergency.
This is a humanitarian crisis.
Michael Rodriguez is an alderperson in Chicago's 22nd Ward, home to one of the largest Latino communities in the Midwest, and a landing spot for many migrants in need of temporary assistance.
Right now, we only have about 2,800 shelter beds in our shelter system, and we're at capacity. So that leaves parks and police stations to temporarily house folks.
Nonprofits are stepping up to provide badly needed resources, including New Life Centers, where Matt DiMatteo serves as executive director.
And so each one of those steps in the chain, we really walk with emergency food, feeding families, getting clothes, things like that. And there's a strong network in Chicago that's really wrapped around these families.
About 9,000 migrants have resettled in Chicago since September of last year. New Life Centers estimates they've helped about 1/3 of them in one of their centers around the city.
Families come here with absolutely nothing. They come here hungry, tired, have gone through hell and back to get here, and now are looking for new hope and opportunity.
Food provided by New Life's Panda Vida grocery store draws hundreds daily, helping to feed asylum seekers like Jose Molina Povidor from Colombia. Povidor can't legally work in the U.S. until his asylum case is resolved, so he volunteers at Panda Vida while staying with extended family members already living in the city.
I'm waiting for help with my work permit so that I can work and be a good citizen of the United States.
As Povidor waits, DiMatteo says New Life Centers are ramping up efforts to move more migrants from shelters into permanent housing.
where we're placing currently 10 families a day from shelters into apartments, and we're hoping to grow that to 500 families a month that will be able to move from shelters into new apartments.
As the flow of migrants into Chicago continues, city and Illinois state leaders are seeking more federal aid to meet their needs.
Joanna Hardy, an Army veteran, a mother and a Washington, D.C. native, says she watched gun-related deaths rise in the U.S. and in 2018 decided to organize Guns Down Friday, a group dedicated to reducing gun violence.
Joanna Hardy is an Army veteran, a mother, and a Washington, D.C. native. She says she watched gun-related deaths rise in the U.S. and in 2018 decided to organize Guns Down Friday, a group dedicated to reducing gun violence.
The streets of DC was worse than a war zone, and I just truly wanted to create change. It's scary. It's scary to just, you teach your children to stay away from certain people, to do this, everything to protect yourselves, but with these mass shootings, it's like, what can you do?
Every Friday, Hardy drives to Washington neighborhoods with higher rates of gun-related incidents, meeting with children and families to find ways to reduce violence and help residents heal. The group provides resources and programs to help those affected by youth homicides, suicides, and mental health problems. Hardy says the group also works with city authorities on other things, like installing street lamps in darker parts of neighborhoods.
A neighborhood that we went into, we noticed that shooters were coming behind bushes. They would come and shoot behind these bushes. So we asked the kids, what can you do to end gun violence in your community? They said, we can cut the bushes so we can see what's going on. So, we rallied up. We actually got the council member to come to the neighborhood and cut those bushes.
13-year-old Micaiah King Brooks is a volunteer who says he himself has been exposed to shootings.
I was still real young, so I put up my curtains all in my room. I didn't want nobody going near my window. I didn't want to vacuum my room because that was too loud. I don't know, I was real paranoid.
13-year-old Rashad Bates lost a good friend a few years ago to gun violence. He says meeting and talking with Hardy helps him cope.
I feel angry and sad at the same time. If I get emotional, Miss Hardy, she'd be right there to talk me out of it.
Child psychologists say even reading or watching news about gun violence can severely affect children's health and cause mood swings, sleep disruption, loss of appetite, and problems with concentration. But they stress often families can prevent these symptoms from turning into more serious psychological issues like severe anxiety and depression.
Parents talking to their children about things that happen can be very helpful. You're watching a movie together and there's a shooting. That's an opportunity to casually engage your child in conversation, your teenager or your school-age child. What would that be like? How would you handle that? Wow, that would make me feel sad. What about you?
According to Gun Violence Archive, over 670 children and teens have died as a result of gun violence in the U.S. through May 17 of 2023.
The second ever private mission to the International Space Station launched on May 21st, carrying a Saudi man and a woman, the first citizens from their country to travel to the orbiting outpost.
Power and liftoff, Falcon 9.
On Sunday, as the AX-2 spaceship took to the skies, it also went down in history. Carrying 4 passengers, including a Tennessee businessman and a former NASA astronaut, the flight also transported Saudi Arabia's first astronauts in decades, as well as the country's first woman to go to space, breast cancer researcher Rayana Barnawi.
I've worked for the past 10 years as a researcher, so research has been my passion in life. I have worked on stem cells and tissue re-engineering, and I'm very happy and honored to be here today representing the government of Saudi Arabia and the Saudi Space Commission as the first Saudi women astronaut going to the International Space Station.
I'm really looking forward to all the experiments we're going to be conducting on board the International Space Station.
The private mission to the ISS, organized by Axiom Space, is the first commercial human spaceflight mission to include both private astronauts and astronauts representing foreign governments. Once aboard the orbiting laboratory, the team will spend 10 days carrying out some 20 different experiments, including studying the behavior of stem cells in zero gravity. They will be joining 7 other astronauts already present on board, 3 Russians, 3 Americans, and Emirati astronaut Sultan Al-Neyadi, who was the first Arab national to go on a spacewalk last month. For Axiom Space, this mission marks the latest step towards an ambitious goal: the construction of its own space station, with the first module expected to launch in 2025.
After an anonymous TikTok user created a song using artificial intelligence that fooled many into thinking it was made by pop stars, experts say the music industry will have to decide how to handle music.
I'm scared. This ain't Drake. From the lyrics to the beat to the voices. A song posted by anonymous TikToker Ghostwriter977 sounded just like megastar musicians Drake and The Weeknd. Heart on My Sleeve, made with artificial intelligence, impressed fans, but had some in the music industry crying foul. And experts say it's not that hard to do.
You know, once a computer has a sort of understanding of the patterns that underlie voice in general, you don't need necessarily a lot of data from The Weeknd to generate, you know, sounds that sound like him.
Universal Music Group, which represents both artists, released a statement emphasizing the need to protect artists' music. Experts say experiments like this with AI are just the beginning.
The toothpaste is not going back in the tube. We have to learn how to best live with it.
Fiebring says the music industry will have to decide how to fight or use AI.
Do they decide that it's the best way to make money is to start churning out AI songs that don't have much human involvement?
But the musician Grimes launched an AI voice software, allowing others to create music with her voice, as long as they split the royalties 50%.
27 minutes after 7, we've come to the end of international news. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's take a break. Stawi Amasinyane.
The transport sector here in Rwanda contributes 60% in terms of the general emissions in the country. We think we can help the country move from fossil fuel-based mobility to green mobility.
Jerry Ndaishiyimye is part of a new generation, transitioning Rwanda's economy to a more sustainable electric future.
We offer the electric vehicles themselves, we offer green mobility solutions for goods and people, and we offer charging infrastructure.
It's a big challenge, and he's not doing it alone.
We have tax incentives, duty-free, excess duty-free, no VAT, and all this is helping us in terms of reducing the end consumer price. This is a charging infrastructure. You plug it there and then it charges them.
Jerry's startup is growing, thanks to help from the Rwandan government.
You can't talk about economy without taking care of environment. Rwanda has chosen to put environment at the heart of everything we do. We have set a target to reduce by 38% our greenhouse gas emission by 2030.
Rwanda's climate goals are being supported by a new IMF initiative. The Resilience and Sustainability Trust offers long-term affordable financing, helping low-income and vulnerable middle-income countries.
Rwanda is the first African country to benefit from the new Resilience and Sustainability Trust, and it has decided to invite neighbors and put in front of them their own experience as an example for them to follow.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen.
welcome to this morning's roundtable discussions.
Some people may not understand it. Why is IMF involved in climate change and climate financing? It is because the impact on our economies is huge.
For the last 4 years, we have been hit by flood. Drought and flooding are very disastrous, and they affect the economies negatively.
And from my own country, Kenya, we are actually going through the worst drought in the last 40 years. There is a challenge, given that most countries are struggling, given the debt levels they have, so there is no fiscal space.
Africa has contributed very little to the problem, but Africa is already suffering the consequences of climate change in a very dramatic way.
Good afternoon. Welcome to our very youthful corner with the good air. So my name is Ineza, but as you know, you're here.
For Rwanda's young climate activists, meeting the challenges of a changing planet is no longer a choice.
Don't mess up this time, because there's no more excuse left on the table. Science is clear, the human impact isn't clear, and the innovation is available. We all know that we have a responsibility. We just want to be all part of a solution today, now.
Thirty-seven minutes after 7 lomhla ekuseni. Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. Njengoba besishilo ke nakuqala lihlelo ukuthi sitawuba nenhlanhla namhla ehlelweni kujoinwa indvuna yelitiko laka Tourism and Environmental Affairs, indvuna Moses Vilakati, to talk about Eswatini's climate action plan. Now this follows the inaugural Eswatini Green Indaba, which was hosted by the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, SNG Grant Thornton, and other partners on the 22nd of May. Indvuna Vilakati joins us to tell us how they plan to continue raising awareness of green opportunities, as well as mobilizing the private sector to support and finance climate action. Ndvuna, sikusela mhla ekuseni. Thank you so much indeed for joining us. Kokuvusa ekuseni ngetingo yetindvuna yenkosi. Siyaxolisa kulolu hlangothi kodwa nje sibonge your commitment to come on the show and join us.
Siyabonga kakhulu sivusele nakini.
Phephethe sibona umsebenzi lomkhulu esukwini la eTolo lebe ngathi bekunema developments la thokodise live lonke la kaNgwane nje sisayikhuluma nendzaba yemoto lekuthiwa i-charger nelanga kodwa nje I think what's important kusipha nje sithombe salolusuku la eTolo, the importance of that event kuhlangana netinhlangothi letahlukene kubuketa ukuthi how do you respond noma ke kuchubekisa indzaba yayo climate action.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Vele iTolo sibe nemhlangano lomkhulu lapha ezulwini leyo ovulwe nguye umhlonishwa Ndunankulu. Umhlangano weqala la kithi ke ukuthi sesikhulumise tindzaba tayo climate change nekwakuthi ke singatithola njani imali dekokuthi simelane nalesi simo lesi lesikhungethe umhlaba wonke nelakithi ke likuleyo ngcenye. Mhlawumbe umuntu angaqala ngokuthi kuthi nga 2021 sa revise lo hlelo lwethu lesithi National Determined Contribution lena ke iplan
lodakhela yona ulive lapho sipanjiswe ngamavela amanyenti ukuthi yini lesingayenda ukuze ukuthi sitomelana naleti ndzaba tekuguquguquka kwesimo setelitulu. So lena ke ngilenye yemiphumela yaloko lethi nyalo siya njani embili.
Nkosi usathinza yona indzaba yemiphumela. I always talk to my friends and my colleagues ngithi Indvuna Vilakazi is one of my favorite ministers ngoba you speak on something siyibona and then you take it into undertaking a couple of months later, and we will see that as we continue with our conversation lomhla ekuseni on Friday the 17th of February. Sitfola imibiko yemaphephandzabeni nalana our broadcast channel Eswatini TV. Kuthi on Thursday you presented the report of the United Nations COP27 lebeyibanjelwe Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, November 2022, where you spoke on an investment plan they are develop. Investment plan gelena lewatsinza indzaba yokuthi indawo sebenzisana nelitiko laka economic planning and development to integrate climate change into a national development plan yethu. Waveta ke ukuthi you are working together to mobilize resources. This is something that we need to deliver as a country. We need to deliver as a country. Everyone needs to be involved. Climate action is a joint human endeavor like no other. Every voice, every action matters. Makama akho lawa kusemphasizela nje ukuthi indzaba yethu sonke Ndvuna Nkosi.
Indzaba iguquguquka kwesimo setelitulu indzaba yethu sonke. Nalobe ngangayikholwa ngiyabona uyayikholwa. Emavikini lamabili lendlulile ebusika sibone ligcoba labulala tilimo lebetsekhona ikakhulu labanye bebasengakavuni ngisho bomabhontshisi lokushoko ukuthi ikhona. Sabona imifula bengile enkundleni ngibheka ngalapha ngakithi eGebeni ngakhanza kugqwele umfula. Wathi hawu ebusika ngoba inkinga yale ndzaba yesimo setelitulu sekuchinja chinja ukhanza ukuthi wena maybe ngesheya alini kuwo kodwa lapha ngesheya liyani phinze ubuke letinto letentekako lalapho babathi hawu lokhu ngubheke ehlobo. Kungakho ke sesithi indzaba yethu sonke thineke silitiko sibonile lokuthi asibandzakanye sive sibandzakanye private sector ingathi usala lendzaba ungathi nje indzaba yahulumende. Kungakho sithi ayibe indzaba yethu sonke. Utawukhumbula ukuthi sike sathi asesibuke nje indzaba yetipi ngoba nathi tinemthelela lemibi daka waste saze sagcina singena kuhloba Eswatini bophatha sakho nabo yini bonke letinto leti tinemthelela lomkhulu kulendzaba lesikhuluma ngayo. Nawe amaplastic kuwanciphisa kwenta njani ngoba kufuna sende lokho lesingakwenza lokusho ukuthi nanawe ekhaya kakho kukhona lo ngakwenda kuhlobisa nje likhaya lakho lokusho ukuthi suyaqala ukhulumisa indzaba temvelo. Kungamane nje sishise imililo ngendlela lenjani sho ukuthi sowuqalile kokuthi nanawe sengikhuluma ngeindividual sesingabuya ke sibuyisa ke sive ekhathi kodwa nje icala nangawe lenzaba.
Kanti ke Ndvuna siphindze sakuva uyithinza indzaba ukuthi even though Eswatini contributes emissions lamancane kakhulu emhlabeni wonke jikelele, I think it's quarter 0.007. Yes, indzabeni tayitolo. But we are still bearing the brunt. Masibuka nje lemihlangano lemikhulu lebanjwako lapho khona kuhlangana khona abaholi bemhlaba. Lelive leSwatini liba khona. Kumcwa kakhulu ukuthi nathi sihambisane nawo lamave in these commitments, in these ambitions and aspirations labekwa ngumhlaba wonke Ndvuna Nkosi. Ngiyafuna sikhulumisa indzaba ye-youth participation. It's one of my favorite topics. Ngwabonile ama developments lokwendako in this particular topic on Thursday the 20th.
Usho kahle wathi sine tintuthu tethu tincane less than 1% uma sikhuluma mhlaba wonkana. Kepha letinto ngoba nawe uyagcumisela kuleli basket kusho ukuthi nanawe uyanzisa ngalobo buncane bakho. Angibekise nje ukuthi la kithi nasiyenda le plan yethu sakhanza ukuthi tindzaba tekulima ngendlela lengasiyo into leti silimata kakhulu nasithi bo land use. Kwathi kwesibili kwabonakala ukuthi indzaba ka energy lehambisana naleti tintuthu tetimoto kwathi kwesithathu lokhu nje kwe-energy netintuthu kuthatha 40% waleli basket lakithi. Kwathi kwesithathu kwaba i-waste lecishe ithathe 20%. So sase sithi ke asesibuke letinto leti ukuthi singathi sebenta kanjani ngoba uye uthi nayi lenkingi therefore ngayisebenta kanjani. So uyabuka ke manje uyamonitor ukuthi ubheka kuphi. So sabuka ukuthi ke asesicale ngale waste nale taka energy etimotweni. Kungako ke sibe nemikhankaso lomkhulu miseminyenti lemikhankaso yekuhloba nekwekuthi nje nyalo sibuka nenzaba yensha ukuthi ingathi banzakanya kanjani kuleti nzaba taka waste ngoba ngilenye yetindlela ukuthi siyisebenzele leti nzaba taka climate change ngoba lokwenteka eMozambique ukhanza sekwenteka lakithi nanganje ama cyclones nakashaya ngale eMozambique agcina sishayile nanathi lokusho ukuthi nanathi sifanele ukuthi kube khona lesikwendako ngoba sangenti lutho sisho ukuthi hawu nanathi siba ingcenye yekubhubhisa lomhlaba. Kungako ikiyouth sibenayo futhi ke sase sithi kule lensha iNDC lesithi iplan sathi asale siyenda ngesiswati. Phindze sayenda nangebraille lokuthi nalo longaboni nanayo ngasho ukuthi hey uyathi mina ngibona nawo lapho sibhekile ke ukuthi sive kulolu hlalo lwethu lesinalo lohlaka lwethu lesinalo nabayifunza baphindze basinikete nale feedback ukuthi mhlambe maja nishiye ngala nishiye ngala maja nishiye ngala ngoba indzaba yethu sonke.
Mvuna siyababongela abantu labasha believe bang 24 laba parliamentarians lenwafakile kule libandlalela indzaba ye-inclusion indzaba lenkulu kakhulu utsinza indzaba ye-braille utsinza cishe nje tonke inhlangothi ye-inclusion kunayi NDC lo yitsinzako. Ngiyafuna singene kuye ematfunjini NDC ngoba May 3 2023 uyayilauncha Mvuna. You call it Eswatini's implementation plan for the nationally determined contributions to achieve the adaptation and mitigation strategies in the document submitted to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. It will cost 1.3 billion US dollars to implement this climate action plan between now and 2030. You said now we launch it is very ambitious. Very ambitious. Wabeseke seyawa highlighter the 12 sectors let out responda kuwo Mvuna. Ngiyafuna ukuthi singene kuwo one by one if time is going to allow us ngesaba. You do have agriculture, you do have health, you do have water, ecosystems and biodiversity, you have infrastructure, you have energy waste so watsinzile lawo lamabili. You have industry, you have forestry, you have gender. Singange nje kakhulu indzaba ya forestry siyibonile indzaba yehlanyela tihlahla Mvuna. Ngiyafuna ukuthi usihighlightele kancane that drive siyibonile since 2021 so nje yachubeka kakhulu indzaba yehlanyela tihlahla still rigorous, it's still vigorous nangeminyaka wa 2023. Let's talk about that plan. Athini ama ambitions ayo vele
indzaba yetihlahla into lemcoka kakhulu kuhlanyela tihlahla. Ngiyethemba nje nawe ekhaya khona tihlahla lokuhlanyela
nje 2 tema fruits
dingaba tema fruit trees dingaba tani ngoba kakhulu na ubuka la ngaphandle live lakithi seliyageduka kangaka nje ikakhulu sekude letihlahla. Ngijabula nje ukuthi baka EU kukhona uhlelo lokufanele sibe siluphakamisa lekuthi kakhulu kufanele ucalwe emahlanzeni la kuthenini laba sebathi juba letihlahla ngoba phela ukhumbule ukuthi kunye kujuba kwaletihlahla indzaba yaka poverty suke sifuna ukuthi mhlawumbe isandla siye emlonyeni ngozokhanza ukuthi benda tincwephe benda tingcwembe benda yini kepha bese kubade lokusalako. So lo mhlaba ke na usele songanalutho emandi ayefika yagedula sekwente kanjani. So lo hlelo ke sathi sifuna tihlahla ku 5 years letinganga 10 million. Kube ngako ke sase sithi ngale lelanga lekuhlanyela tihlahla nga 21st March asisihlanyele nje 1.2 million. Usuka phike 1.2 million suka kutheni sive sakithi singanga 1.2 million to 1.3 million. Lokusho ukuthi nangathi nje munye ngihlanyele nje sibe sinye ukhulu lapho kungaya khona. Khumbuleke futhi usiletinye taletihlahla ukhulume nje ngema fruit trees vele ti pension yakho uyawuthi noma sona 70 una 80 sibe solo sona sikukhicitela sithathe nje ikota pen liyahlala iminyaka lenganga 40 weminyaka ube solo ukhicita nje uhlunzu uliphuna nje uliphuna kancane uliphuna kancane lokusho ukuthi ipension yakho leyo so kubuke ngekweukuthi lesihlahla lengisihlanyelako sebantu abami sesitukulwane sami silapho ke kakhulu ngokuthi leti hlahla tingasisita kanjani futhi ukhumbule ukuthi leti hlahla ngito leti bese tilanza lobubi lobuletulu dibuyise phansi ngabo photosynthesis angeke singene kakhulu lapho so kepha usho kona ukuthi nanathi sisuke sibambisa umhlaba wonke jikelele ekuthenini akube netintuthu letikahle letiyaletu letikabi dibuyiswa phansi so that's why letihlahla timcoka iprogram nje lengethemba ukuthi next maybe 10 years or so iyawugcina nabana sathi ukuthi uyathi angihlanyele nje isihlahla sibe sinye kanjalo phinze ngisivikele ngoba sihlahla silinyatwa nje into letimbili umlilo netilwane ngoba kwaze kwataze lo mlilo wathishisa naletilwane tasi sesivele asisaye embili kanti sifuna ukuthi lamaqembu aswabele ngoba konke kusebenta ngalamaqembu
and ngiyajabulisa siwabonile ama-reports laveta ukuthi kushiswa kwemahlathi sekwehle kakhulu. It gets to show ukuthi all these programs raise awareness asebenza nemaswati siyabonga kakhulu ukuthi ayabambisa live kulolo hlangothi. Siyabonga nivuna ukuthi so-preemptile ukuthi ne-program le ndayisebenza ne-European Union. Ngiyajabula ukuthi nisasebenza nama-country stakeholders, all these organizations are able to come up with these such important programs. Kunalenye ke i-commitment le yendiwe ngu-UNDP resident representative Ms. Eswatini nga-May 3 lekule besiyithinza nje ye-NDC nawe iphakamisa nivuna. She made a commitment wathi as the UNDP in line with the country's program 2021 to 2025 and the enhanced NDC. She was pleased to be working with your ministry, the Ministry of Tourism and Environmental Affairs, as the lead ministry and other government ministries and development partners to mobilize up to $35 million, which is equivalent to 645 million emalangeni, towards a pipeline of key national flagship programs aimed at further strengthening the kingdom's adaptation capacity and reduction of greenhouse gas emissions. Just to find out how far with this development, with this commitment as UNDP,
UNDP nalamanye ama-strategic partners but ke UNDP nje ube ngibabe namake etindzabeni tekusebenta tindzaba tekuguquguquka kwesimo setelitulu netevelo nje in general. Itolo nje ubonile sesichamuka nelunyunyuvu lwemoto ubeka nje mafutha uthi isuthi angasiboni nespeed sayo ukuthi i-maximum ithini. Nami ngisale ngathi nje ndawo ngi-test drive esengihamba hambe ngayo lambabani nguletinye taleti inhlelo ngoba sithene nga-2021 2021 sahlala phansi sathi asesibuke letinto letihlukubeta imvelo lakithi khona sitotsi nasilive kutothiwa nawute Eswatini vele live lelingahlukubeta imvelo sayibeka nje kanjalo. Sayasithi ke nawubuka lolu hlalo lwethu lesilifakile la ngetulo kwa 1 billion US dollars ungabamba ngakuphi wena ungi-UNDP. UNDP ke usibambisile kakhulu kutaka waste kakhulu emadolobheni nje sekunema club sekunetindlela letithi sekunekwenta ukuthi bantu batiphilise ngetibi ungatithatha itibi ukuthi dibi nje uthathe ukuthi imali lokusho ukuthi ikakhulu nangabe tehlukaniswe kahle utiseparate kahle uphinze utisebenzisa kuyalembili. UNDP ne-UN family isisitile futhi ukukhumbula ngesikhathi se-COVID lapho sikuqoqwa bomake khona batawungena kumabhizinisi aboma-mask kwenteni itinto letitsite namhla lokhu sekunema-factory etindzaweni letitsite solo tonke ngiletindzaba tabo-UN family lapho bekubanjiswana khona ukuthi kungentiwa kanjani ukuthi kuyiwe mbili ngisakhuluma nje ngete waste so umsebenzi lona lesikhanza ukuthi na uqoqa leto tibi sithi separate kusengake fiki ke kahle kakhulu ngoba utakwanza nje ukuthi nala emsebenzini nesete indzaba yokuthi emabhodlela akabe ngala emaplastic akabe ngala ngoba na utawubuka nje ingwenya glass ingwenya glass i-product noma ngumntwana we-waste ngoba ngaphandle kokuthi athole la mabhodlela la ngaphandle ngeke kwendekela letinto letinhle letenteka lapho lesethi khanga abantu nathi sithi caphe ukuthi na ulethe sivakashi ungakandluli engwenya glass kusho ukuthi awukaboni lutho manje ngelamathuba la ngala sabonakala ukuthi angaba khona sibheke nyalo kubuka athi indzaba tabomanyolo sekukhona nje boyinsha la sebakhona sebacale kwenta bomanyolo ngale tipi letithi organic fertilizer so donke leto tinto leto tichamuka kulobudlelwane bethu lesinabo neba-UNDP then ke sase sibuka sobe ngisakhuluma ngewaste sase sibuka lendzaba taka energy ka energy ke sathi cha kulo energy nasingabuka kakhulu ngendzaba yetintuthu letilethwa kuhamba kwetimoto nekwenda njani nakhona lapho sahlala phansi sabuka iplan of action bathi ke cha hulumende sitambambisa asesicale ngeawareness ngoba bantu labanye baye basinga umkhasi bathi uthi kungenteka lokho itolo ke inkosi ikhokhile le moto sathi nayi imoto lengasebenzisi petrol ayisebenzisi diesel ayisebenzisi emalahle akubanjiswane bantu batoyibona uma uya kulamanye amave ngisho amabhasi asahamba ngalendlela yakasola instead of ukuthi ethe bo petrol ethe bo diesel yes kunema costs ngoba adula-dulile kunaleti imoto lesitejwayele eTanzania nje na uya kulama parks abo leti moto esethamba lapho tihamba ngalendlela yale moto le besika cop eGibhithe lamabhasi abelayisha abantu ngihamba ngalendlela le eGlasgow imoto tonke betilayisha lawo ma delegates dathi sebenzisa leti indlela leti
solar electric
of course letase Glasgow tinema combinations kodwa still tonke tiya lembili lapha eNazarene sithe akusale kwakhiwa ema panels ukuthi lokhu lebakushisako sale kushiswa ngelanga esithi renewable energy umsebenzi omkhulu sitabe suvula ngoba sowuvele nawo sisebenzisana naye nawubuka sisebenzisana naye lo UNDP so ngiko ngithi kuleti takithi temvelo usibambise kakhulu kude strategic partner lesibambisene nathi njenga UNDP lokukahle ke futhi vele nawuthi uyofika kubo wayibeka kahle le concept yakho yevakala awu bathi thuma mina so naku lokusijabulisa kona
Bwana Nkosi, sibonga kakhulu isikhathi sakho. Unfortunately we have run out of time. This is the end of our interview. But nje usathinza yona indzaba ukuthi kudulile. I think the cost of maintain imoto nemasola nanani is better than the cost of the climate change. Konke lokunye lokubese kuyenteka. We thank you so much for your time. Siyethemba ukuthi na inkosi nayivumile we can have you again. Ngoba ngeke siticethe setha singakhulumisa netaka tourism. Siyabonga mfowethu.
Siyabonga kakhulu. Kungako nje kule discussion lekhona. Kukhona era lokusidwe banganiketwa maphi ama incentives labantu abafuna ngena kuloko ngoba kulalamanye mave kuba nabo tax break kube nabo yini vele ke ngilesizama ukubuka ukuthi ngoba nasithi singena bo renewable into lensha yini lengentiwa nangihulumende ngoba nyalo sifuna kuhambiswe i-private sector but uhulumende aleye le ground lekokuthi sine singanibambisa kanje ukuthi sito yembili kuloko nje asifisi ukuthi sitawufana nabo makhelwane la kuthiwa 12 hours utegezi
imbi kakhulu.
So,
Thank you so much.
kakhulu.
We are certainly looking forward to that development indzaba yokuthi kube nema incentives etindzabeni tato timoto temasola netindzaba tema EVs sisathosa yona ke indzaba yokustrengthenisha the kingdom's capacity ku adaptations nereduce our greenhouse emissions. We have come to the end of the program, unfortunately. Thank you for staying with us. Asiphinza sibona nekusasa nisale kahle.
good fun. When it comes to edutainment, DSTV's #1.
Is everybody ready to go?
We've got the zaniest characters to transport you away. The party is cracking, so why not come play? You're gonna love it. We've got so many channels and a ton of new shows, like Disney and Nickelodeon, where anything goes. So live it up with DSTV. We bring the fun. You know we're #1.